Oh boy. All right. All right. Get my stuff set up real quick. Get myself ready. Because I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of a lesson and show y'all, you know what I'm saying, a few things in the Bible that I know a lot of people may not really explain in the right way. And I'm gonna basically start, from the beginning with Adam and Eve and kind of use those verses and many other verses to explain how trees are referenced to people in the Bible. And I'm gonna show you all that. I'm gonna show the connection between like the whole branch, the whole tree analogy. They use branches. They even use plants. They use a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? Um, to represent people as trees. So give me a second. Give me a second. Uh-uh. Y'all bear with me real quick. I'm just looking up certain things. All right. So first, before I even start anything, I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah. And I want to thank, just thank him for, what I'm saying, just giving me the knowledge that um I've been looking for years, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that I came into the truth, not so long ago. And it's been growing on me day by day, week by week. And the fact that, I'm at where I'm at now, I gotta give all praise to him for that, you know what I'm saying? But for this lesson though, what I'm going to do is, like I said, basically explain how trees are used in the Bible to reference people. Trees are used in the Bible to reference people, basically. Trees are symbolic to people. And I'm gonna show all that um using scripture. Using scripture. Now I'm gonna start right here. I'm gonna start right here and kind of use these verses to kind of go forward and everything. But it says right here in Genesis 1:26, let us, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image, and the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So letting you know that this was, this represents all the people that was made on the earth. It wasn't just Adam and Eve. There were people, a whole group of people made, on this earth. And there were many people that resided, basically like when God created them. And yeah, that's that. But I'm gonna skip to Genesis 3 real quick. Genesis 3 real quick, kind of skip to that. Because this is what I want to use in order to, really help y'all understand this whole tree thing. Because I know a lot of people, may not really understand this, but keep those verses in Genesis 1, keep those verses in mind when he said that he created, female, he created like, them, male and female created he them. Keep those things in mind. Keep those things in mind. But I'm gonna go to Genesis 1, and this is referring to the whole fall of man, as you see, when the serpent and everything beguiled Eve. And to let y'all know that for this serpent, it wasn't, it wasn't an actual snake. It was a man. It wasn't an actual snake. It was a man. And let me look something up real quick. Look something up real quick. So I'm gonna give you these just some definitions of the word serpent. So look, as you see, it says, a large snake, a dragon, a mythical snake-like reptile. But let's go right here in this right here. a sly or treacherous person, especially one who exploits a position of trust in order to betray it. A sly or treacherous person. Basically, somebody that is slick, very evil, very conniving. That is what it means when it talks about the serpent. It's not sitting here saying that, an actual snake came out of nowhere and just, talked to Eve and everything. Like, no, it's all symbolic for something. That serpent represented a man that came from another nation, basically. That's what it represents. And it can also go into the whole, fact of curses that happened because there was a basically that I'm gonna break all I'm gonna try to break all of it down in this video. I'm gonna try to, even though at the same time I want to stay on topic, you know what I'm saying, in terms of the whole tree thing, but I can kind of branch off into other, other topics, other discussions, other concepts that I can, help y'all understand, this scripture for real. But let me see. So it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. And the serpent is Satan. I can also bring up other verses as well to kind of let you know who the serpent is. Because let me bring up a verse real quick. It's in Revelation. What verse is it? It's in Revelation. There's a verse in Revelation. Salaki, y'all. I think it's Revelation 14. Is it Revelation 14? Something about a serpent. Because they're the exact same thing. But hold up, y'all. Or is it 13? Damn, what verse is it? Revelation? I know it's a Revelation for sure. Salaki, yeah, Salaki. Trying to really find this verse. I'm gonna find it too. So I'm going to explain it. I'm going to explain it. If Lord willing. There we go, Revelation 12. Had to find it in my phone. All right, so Revelation 12, right here, verse 9. It says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, who was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So that serpent is the same serpent that goes back to Adam and Eve. And this represents a people. It don't just represent, just actual snake or whatever. This represents, somebody who is sly, treacherous, evil, conniving, deceiving, deceitful. This is what it means when it says that serpent. That serpent represents a person. It represents somebody or someone or a group of people. That's what it represents. And as we should all know, if you know about the doctrine of, not even just the Hebrew Israelites, but the Bible, it talks about how this serpent, this devil, are the Edomites. That they are who the wicked is. That's who it's referring to. But that's neither here nor there. But let's just go back to Genesis and break down this whole tree thing real quick. So it says, and he said unto the woman, have God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So this is part of covenant that God made with what's called the chosen people that he at that time, the Adamites. He told them, he was like, hey, there are many trees that y'all should know, there are many trees that you can eat from, but don't eat this tree. Now, as I said, these trees represent people, and the fruit represent basically their ways, their doctrines, or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna go to Matthew real quick. I think it's in Matthew 7 or 27. Which one? Matthew 7. Yep. So where is it at? Right here. So I'm gonna start at verse 15. So it says, Matthew 7, verse 15, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them, ye shall know the false prophets by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. So this is basically a comparison, a metaphor to how these false prophets are trees. It's a whole analogy, letting you know that these trees are these false prophets are their people, and how their fruit is their ways, their doctrine, what you learn from them. And I'm also kind of like bring up the how this word fruit is being used in terms of the biblical usage and how you could like define it. So as you see right here, it says, fruit of trees, vines of the fields, fruit of one's lions, or whatever. So this is not talking about actual fruits. It's talking about this right here, that which originates, that which originate or salakia, that which originates or comes from something, an effect, result, work, act, deed, work, act, deed. So basically, like their actions, what they do, their doctrines. That's what it means when it talks about their fruits. It's not sitting here saying that, oh, what you call it, that we had to eat an actual apple, because that's what Christians say. Christians say that it was actual apple. They assume that it was some random fruit, and they say that, oh well, it was an apple because the apple it sounds like it fits the story or whatever. It fits the narrative they're trying to push, but it didn't say anything about an apple. It said a fruit, and this fruit represents, like I said, the works, the acts, the deeds of those people, their doctrines, basically. So now that we know this whole analogy of the tree being used to refer to people, we can go back and just keep all these things in mind, or keep all these things in mind. So let's go down here, and there's gonna be a lot of things I'm gonna break down, because it's a lot of things that Christians talk about and that Christianity they preach, and they have no idea what they talk about at all. They have no idea. But I'm gonna go right here, Genesis 6, chapter 3, verse 6, same chapter, different verse. So it reads, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. So, for one, once again, this is a testament, this is evidence to how these trees represent people. It's not talking about, actual, what I'm saying, like, trees and actual fruits from the trees. If you just keep all the verses in mind, keep Matthew 7 in mind, when they say that those trees, know every good tree, or know them by their fruits, basically. Keep that in mind and use that to refer back to this. It just ties everything together and makes everything make sense. So once again, it's not saying that that they ate actual fruit from a tree. They basically, like, these trees represent other nations, and they went to other nations and basically like learn their ways, and God, he did not want them to eat of that tree. If you go back to Genesis, I think it was in 1, either 1 or 2. Where is it at? No, it was in Genesis 2, I'm pretty sure. He gave them that commandment. Right here, Genesis 2:9, and out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, and the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So right here, talking about those trees, basically, and how God, he forbidded them to eat of that tree right here. And he says, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in that day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. And right here it says, the Lord commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. So this was basically a commandment given. It was like the first commandment. Well, I was not the first commandment, because the first commandment was be fruitful, multiply. in terms of the Adamic covenant, because he had a covenant with Adam and the chosen people at this time, and a part of that covenant was basically like don't eat of the not the fruit, but like basically don't learn the ways of the other people. These people right here, whoever these people are, this other nation, don't learn from them. Don't interact with them. Don't do anything with them because they're going to lead you to sin. And there are other verses. It's kind of like showing you the connection of what you call it. It's showing you how like throughout the Bible, how God he kept the same what's call it. He kept the same energy. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how what you call it. In terms of how he wanted his people to live. In terms of the laws. So let me see. Right here. So I'm gonna read Deuteronomy 7, verse 1. And this is the covenant that he gave to the Israelites. But at the time of Genesis, in that time, like the chosen people were the Adamites. It was always a chosen people in each covenant that happened throughout this history of the Bible. And in this covenant in Deuteronomy, the Mosaic covenant, he basically had God. He chose certain people, and these are the people that he did not he did not want the Israelites to basically what I'm saying interact with. So read right here. It says, "When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, the Hivites, Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them, and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take to thy son." So this is the same thing that's being said in Genesis when he was saying like don't eat of their trees, or don't eat of that tree of knowledge of good and evil. It wasn't sitting there saying that, oh, I don't want you to learn anything. I don't want you to know about good and evil. It's saying that I don't want you to be exposed to sin. That was the whole point of that tree of knowledge of good and evil. So it wasn't, a lot of people sit here and try to make their own assumptions about what it means or what that tree, the whole purpose of God making that tree. But those trees, like I said, represent people, and how there was a certain commandment that was given to them, to the Adamites, saying, hey, the same thing that's being said here, don't do any of this right here to the other what you call it, to the other what you call it people. Because it even says right here, it says, "For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly." So this is literally the same thing. The same thing that happened, in Genesis, when Adam and Eve they were cursed. So was that serpent. Like they were cursed. He said that the Lord will destroy them. His anger of the anger of the Lord. Oh, it's like it. The anger of the Lord Yahweh. That fire that he had against them, it'll be used against them to basically like curse them and let them know like, hey, if you don't follow my commandments, if you don't keep my word, if you don't keep my laws and my rules that I set down, I will destroy you. So it's going back to Genesis real quick. So right here, when it says, once again, the tree was good for food and it was pleasant to the eyes. You can skip that. And the eyes of them both were open after they ate their fruit, or after they learned their doctrines and basically like learned their ways, and basically like did the same things they did. It says that their eyes were open. They knew they were naked. So this is one thing that a lot of Christians may say when it comes out to this verse. And I've heard, a few different arguments about this. I heard something new where I think something was said where this Christian pastor talked about how the senses of Adam and Eve were not, activated just yet. But as soon as they, what you call it, ate that fruit, their sense of vision came about. And I'm like, no, that's retarded. Like, if you just have common sense when reading this stuff, you'll realize how dumb you may sound trying to make up those, those claims. Like, for one, if they were blind right here, how could they have eaten the fruit? If they were blind, how did they eat the fruit? Because if this all this, like, just think about this in context, and just think about this with a carnal mind. So, because this is what Christians think. For one, like I said, Christians think that it was an actual tree. They think it was actual fruit. So if you think from that mindset, and you say that she was blind, first of all, how did she walk up to the how did she walk up to the tree? For one. For one. For two, how did she eat the fruit? How did she grab the fruit? How did she know where it was? If she was blind, like how? Did the serpent, like, guide her and tell her, like, hey, it's right there? If all her senses were deactivated, and they got activated as soon as they ate the fruit, how did she hear the serpent? How did she have a conversation with the serpent then? And plus, it says right here, like, if she was blind right here, then why does it say right here, when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was pleasant to the eyes? This is all visual. Like, what are you talking about? How could they be blind how could they be blind right here? And how could they be, unblinded, with whatever you want to say? But it says that she already saw. You can't be blind and see. That doesn't make any sense. People gotta stop reading the word with a carnal mind. When you read it with a carnal mind, you don't really understand. But right here, it's common sense when it says that the woman, she saw the tree, she saw it, but this, in terms of like when their eyes being open, it's not talking about them being unblinded, and that they were able to see now. And even when it says that they were naked, it's not talking about actual nakedness. It's talking about being exposed to sin. So their eyes, when it says that their eyes were open, they were open to knowing sin, basically. They were exposed to sin. That's what it means. So this it's not really talking about, them being actually naked and actually blind. And I'm also bring up some verses to kind of like, show you what that nakedness represent, or how nakedness is also in reference to sin, basically. Let me find the verse real quick. I think it's in Psalms, I'm pretty sure. Or no, it's Lamentations. Lamentations. Lamentations 1:8. So right here, when it says, Jerusalem hath previously sinned, therefore she is removed. All that honored her despise her, because they have seen her nakedness. So this is not talking about, once again, somebody being actually naked. It says right here, it's giving you the context right here when it says Jerusalem hath previously sinned, letting you know that they have been exposed to sin. And therefore she is removed, and all that honor of her despise her, because they have seen her nakedness, they have seen her sin. So if you sit here still thinking that nakedness is referring to them being butt ass naked, I don't know what to explain to you. Like, you gotta stop reading with a carnal mind. It's give you the context right here of how that nakedness is being referred to as sin. So let's go back to Genesis, when it says that they both, the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. Once again, this nakedness is referred to, as sin. So they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. So these fig leaves are not actual leaves, because once again, when you read it with a carnal mind, you may think that they made clothes for themselves. For one, if they knew they were already naked, they already had clothes then. It's not talking about actual fig leaves. They weren't butt ass naked. It's not talking about that. This is referring to the doctrines of other nations. They try to take these leaves or whatever, put them together, and basically, like, cover their sins. They try to cover the fact that they were naked. They try to cover their sin because of the fact that they didn't want Yahweh to know that they sinned. They try to cover it with other doctrines and other teachings and whatever you want to call it, to cover their sins. But this is also a part of the what's called it, the covenant, or the way that I think Adam and Eve had their sins covered. I'm trying to find that verse. Because they had, instead of like covering themselves with that with the what's called it, with those leaves, Yahweh, he made them cover themselves with these coats of skin. This was basically like a sacrifice that was made for sin. And this is like, a testament once again to how um in God's doctrines and God's covenants that he made with, his people, it was always the same thing where they had to make, sacrifices. They made sacrifices to cover their sins. That's what that's how it's been, throughout the Bible. But it says right here, it says, unto Adam also and to his wife did the Lord God make coats of skin and clothe them. So instead of them using these stupid ass, fig leaves or whatever, right here, where is it at? Instead of using these fig leaves right here, God made them, use coats of skin as a way of sacrifice, basically. And this the same thing you can look up in, the other doctrines and other covenants that God made other people, where they had to sacrifice animals for their sins at one point. So it's all, connected to letting us know, like, how God, he stays the same. He doesn't change. The way that he, made these covenants with his people, he made it to where, it was always it always has some type of, I guess, like every covenant pulls something from each other. So the Adamic covenant, everything, like there are many things in the Adamic covenant that was used in the Mosaic covenant. The covenants always, like, have some of the same, many of the same things, and probably even more added to it. So just to get back to the whole topic of, how trees were people. Once again, let me see. Let me go to Genesis 5 real quick. I'm gonna go to Genesis 5 real quick. Because I can break down a lot of things, but I'm kind of like, going on a tangent, but I'm gonna come right back to the whole tree thing. But this is also, evidence of how Adam and Eve, like, it wasn't just two people on the earth. It represented a group of people, basically. And once again, how there are more people on the earth, with Adam and Eve. And I'm gonna prove that as well, using the whole tree thing. But right here it says, this is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, the likeness of God made he him, male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam. In that day, they were created. Look at this, look at the pronouns. Talking about their and they. That represents, more than one person. It represents a people. He called their name Adam. Now I'm gonna go back to Genesis 1. When I said keep this in mind, when it said, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So, that just lets you know exactly how there are more than just, it wasn't just Adam and Eve by themselves. Plus, at the same time, if Adam and Eve was like the only people on the earth for real, where did the serpent come from? The serpent came from, another nation. It wasn't just, Adam and Eve, it's two people, and then everybody else was just nowhere to be found. They just had to be made from Adam and Eve. If that was the case, then that would have to be incest. The fact that everybody had to be made from Adam and Eve. Now, at the same time, everybody did come from Adam and Eve, but it wasn't through incest, though. You know what I'm saying? It was not through incest at all. They did not have sex with their brothers and sisters to make people. That's not how it happened at all. They did procreate and everything, but it represented like I said, everything represents a people, and how people were created from Adam and Eve. Because I'm also bring up a second address real quick, if it's in here. Oh damn, I gotta hold up. Slocky, y'all, slocky. Second issues. I think it's in 6. Right here, Second Ezra 6 verse 54, and this goes back to the whole creation, when it says, upon the 6th day thou gavest commandment unto the earth that before thee it should bring forth beasts, cattle, and creeping things. And after these, Adam also, who thou madest Lord of all thy creatures. Of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. All this I have spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said they are nothing, but be like unto spittle. So once again, everybody does come from Adam. Everybody does come from Adam. But there was still, other people, you know what I'm saying? There were still other different nations, you know what I'm saying, that were a product of Adam. So Adam, once again, like the Adamites were the chosen people, but at the same time, there were other people as well on this earth. It wasn't just Adam and Eve. It says as for the other people, which also come of Adam, they're like spittle. They're like nothing at all to God. The heathen, basically, the wicked. That's what it means when it says they are nothing, or these other people. So go back to Genesis real quick. And lost my train of thought. Lost my train of thought. So yeah. So yeah, there were other people, you know what I'm saying, on the earth with Adam and Eve. And I'm also go to Ezekiel real quick. Ezekiel 31. And show y'all how, this whole tree thing kind of comes about. And also at the same time, how what you call it? How it just more proof that there were more than, it was more people on the earth with Adam and Eve as well. But I could start at the top, but let me see. All right. I started verse 3. It says, Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon with fair branches, with a shadowing shroud, and of an high stature, and its top was among the thick boughs. So, for one, why is it referencing, y'all know an Assyrian is a person. An Assyrian can represent an actual, person. So why is it saying that this Assyrian has fair branches? And this is all like, connected to the whole tree thing. Branches come from trees. Siri, I did not want you at all for anything. Because I said Assyrian. I'm so weak. Wow. All right, but once again, this Assyrian has like, branches. So that kind of like, goes to the whole, tree analogy again. It says the waters made him great. The deep set him up on high with her rivers running round about his plants, and sent out her little rivers unto all the trees of the field. So these trees, once again, represent people. It says, therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field. And this, even look at the pronouns, it's like personification. It's given trees, you know what I'm saying, the qualities of a human, saying that it says that, his height was exalted above all the trees of the field. So this it's talking about Adam right here. This specific person right here, this specific Assyrian, what you call it, had a greater stature than the other people, because of the fact that, for one, you go back to Genesis, when basically like God, he gave dominion. He had Adam, have dominion over all the fish of the sea. He had dominion over everything. This is what it means when it says that his height was exalted above all the trees of the field. He had a great, a great calling, basically to be the chosen of God. And then go down a little bit more. Let me see. Right here. This kind of like, I wouldn't say it wraps it up, but it kind of gives like a clear distinction that this is Adam. But it says, I have made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden, going back to Adam and Eve, that were in the garden of God, envied him. So for one, can a tree envy anybody? It's common sense, and it's an analogy, letting you know how this tree represents a person. And they say that the other trees, the other nations, the other people, they envied Adam. They envied him because of the fact that he had a high status. That he was chosen by God. he was chosen to be his people. And this is something that goes back to Jacob and Esau, Cain and Abel. How Cain, he was jealous of his brother Abel. Esau, he was jealous of Jacob, because he always had a chosen people. Always. He always had a chosen people. And there was always somebody or another group of people who envied that. They didn't like the fact that that somebody was above them. They didn't like the fact that they had to be under somebody. You know what I'm saying? So this is all inclusive to other concepts about how once again people, they had a hate for their brother because of the fact that they did not want to be on the bottom. So this once again is all letting you know how these trees and everything, these trees represent people. Trees can't envy. They're just using common sense. Sometimes you can use common sense, but at the same time, it's still more deep and spiritual than you think. So, hey, I'm gonna bring up a few more verses real quick that kind of tie in this whole tree thing. There's a verse, I think it's in Jeremiah. I think it's righteous branch, right here, right here. Here we go. All right, so this another reference to how trees, in just the whole analogy of trees, are being used for people. So it says right here, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely, and this is his name whereby he shall be called, the Lord of righteousness. So for one, who is this talking about? Who is this talking about? And this whole verse right here, these two verses they are a cut on the virgin birth. Because I know a lot of Christians say that, oh, Jesus, he was born from Mary, and she was a virgin, and the immaculate conception. No, no. Jesus was from the seed of David. I could bring up some other verses as well that let y'all know how he was the seed of David. But this right here is just a clear. It's clear as day. It's clear as day. He said, "I will raise unto David a righteous branch." So it's calling Christ Yahweh Shah a branch, letting you know that for one, this is how trees connect to people, and then for two, it's a cut on the virgin birth, letting you know that Christ came from David. Christ came from David. And there's another verse that lets you know that Christ came from David. I'm gonna bring it up real quick. I forgot which verse it was. Which verse was it? It's in Romans, I'm pretty sure. Romans 1. Right here. It says, concerning his son, Yahushua, our Lord, which was made of the seed of David, according to the flesh, which was made of the seed of David, according to the flesh. So a lot of y'all, Christians that say that there was a virgin birth, it wasn't at all. It wasn't. There was no virgin birth. Christ came from the seed of David, clear as day, right here in the Bible, in the scriptures. So this is all a cut on the virgin birth. If you think that Christ came from like a virgin birth, you're kind of just dumb at this point. Because for one, you can't make you can't make actual human without seed. That's just common sense. God made it to where that there was seed. You know what I'm saying? Or semen, sperm that had to be used in order to make people. Basically, you had to put the seed with the egg, and that basically makes the creation. That's how God made it to be. But a lot of y'all want to go against simple biology and simple just I guess whatever anatomy of the body, whatever you want to call it, science of the body, and just go on a tangent and just say that, oh, Christ, he was made from a virgin birth. No, he wasn't. He wasn't at all. But once again, right here, going back to the whole tree thing, when it says that David, he was a righteous branch. David was a righteous branch. Oh no, not David, but David, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch. Meaning that once again, he will come out of David will come Christ, that righteous branch. So there's a lot more verses that I could probably bring up to let y'all know how trees are being referred to as people. But this is just a few of them. Let me go to Lamentations real quick. Hold up. I think it's in this verse. Talking about trees, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, it's talking about the nakedness. Never mind. Well, that's more evidence of the nakedness, you know what I'm saying? The whole nakedness argument that, oh, they were actually naked. Like, no, talking about sin. It was in Psalms 1. Pretty sure. Referring to like those fruits and everything. Right here. Psalms 1 and 3, it says, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of waters, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. So once again, it's this look at the pronouns, it's common sense. It says, he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of waters, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither. So it's a lot of like, tree references in the Bible, how trees are being referred to as people. Also, let me bring up this verse too. Right here in Mark, this is the deal breaker. There's a lot of verses that's a deal breaker. This right here is a clear deal breaker. So right here, Mark 8, verse 23. And he took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw aught. And he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. Deal breaker right there. He sees men, he saw men as trees walking. It's a deal breaker. If this doesn't give you evidence to how trees are people in the Bible, I don't know what else, man. I really don't. Christ used this for a reason. He did this for a reason. Because he knew he wants to basically have people understand the deep concepts of the Bible. There are many deep concepts of the Bible that people need to understand, and this is one thing that is very important. Like this is just like the rudimentary part of it. It's not even the deepness, really like the real deepness of the whole concept of Adam and Eve, other stuff. Like this is just rudimentary. It's easy to break this down. A lot of other things I can break down too, but it's going to be kind of even longer than this video. But right here it says he looked up and said, I see men in the streets walking. Clear as day. Clear as day. If there's some more evidence that y'all need, hey, y'all can watch this video again to try to understand it. But it's clear as day that in the Bible that you have trees, as men walking. And you have trees are, reference to people. Many verses in the Bible. And if y'all, don't understand it, y'all can try to read it for yourselves and, ask Yahweh to give you more understanding, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you don't have to always take my word for it. If it's hard for you to understand, or if you want, more confirmation, ask Yahweh. Maybe this video didn't do it for you. Maybe there's more videos that you can look up that kind of does it for you. But, these are just verses from the Bible, clear as day, letting you know how these trees are, are being referenced to people. And it's not even just trees. Like there is a whole analogy in the Bible of just like trees, branches, plants, seed, tares. It's like it's a lot of different things that's being used. The vine. There's even a verse where Christ calls himself the true vine. Right here, John 15:1. I am the true vine, and my Father's the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, and that it may bring forth more fruit. Once again, even more evidence to the whole tree thing. Christ is called the true vine, while we are the branches that bear that fruit. Those ways, like the doctrines that we use. Even right here, it's more confirmation. It says, I am the vine, ye, us, we are the branches. Showing us the analogy. It's giving us a clear understanding of the analogy of the trees and the fruit and the branches. And right here it says, if a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. this is a testament back to Matthew 7. This is like a reference back to Matthew 7 right here when it said, where is it at? Right here. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and is cast into the fire. This is a precept to John 15. Letting you know that, it's reiterating the same thing. It's on the same concept of this whole tree analogy and this fruit thing. Let you know exactly what's going on. Let you know how God, sees us. I think there was somebody who they what you call it, had a picture of lungs, and they said like if you turn that picture upside down, you'll or I don't know if you turn it upside down or whatever you want to do with it, but if you look closely, you'll see how our lungs look like trees. Like I think it's like an X-ray or like some type of pictogram of it, something like that. But when you look at it, it looks like a tree because you got the two lungs and everything. Then you got like the veins or like the veins in our what you call it, in our lungs. Those are the branches. It looks like very close to a tree. I'm gonna see if I can find that picture real quick, but hold up. Right here, see, look, this is what like a lung looks like, and it looks very very symbolic. Not symbolic, but it looks the same as a tree. Damn near the same. But you have the branch. Then or you have, first of all, this like the whole not the stomp, but the bark, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But then it branches out, and it looks like a tree. And I was like, that's very creative. That's very like only God can do that. Just look at it. Just look at it. Only God can do this. How creative that is in terms of how his mind works, how he made our lungs like the tree of life, and our lungs give us life. Like our lungs is how we breathe air, and that goes back to the analogy of the whole tree of life. How without air, if we can't breathe, how we gonna live without breathing? Same thing with a heart, like everything that we have in our body, like what you call it, uh, everything we have in our body, like our heart, it's used for a reason. It's there for a reason. We can live without certain things, but without your lungs, without like those essential organs, you can't live. Without these lungs right here, you don't have the tree of life. You need air to breathe. You need your lungs to breathe. So it's crazy how God works, man. It's very crazy how God works, and only God can do that. Only God can. That's why I give all praise to Yahweh, Basham Yahushua, because of the fact that this truth, this is just it's 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 mind blowing, man. It's mind blowing. As days go by, I learn things every day, and I aim to give out this word daily. You know what I'm saying? Like throughout this week or these next couple of weeks, I'm gonna be, trying to upload videos as much as I can because of the fact that I'm on a break right now. And I never really I'm not gonna say I never got the chance to, but I wanted to be able at one point to, make videos and really break down certain verses and break down, a lot of concepts in the Bible. So, I'm gonna try to be a little bit more consistent in terms of, what you call it, giving the word and everything, and giving y'all little messages to let y'all to just explain things that Christians don't explain, because Christians they don't tell y'all the truth at all. They don't tell y'all about history. They don't tell y'all about etymology. They don't break down certain words. They don't break down verses in the right way. They don't use precept upon precept. They don't do the right things all the time when it comes down to explaining this word. That is why I have to, me and other people in the world, not just me, we all have to try to find the actual truth. And through the Hebrew Israelites, I learned so much stuff. Of course, there are a lot of people, a part of the Hebrew Israelites where you still have to what you call it, learn more things, because we're all not perfect at all. We're not all perfect. There are still a lot of things that we can learn, a lot of things that we need to learn. We don't know everything. But when you have people that actually break down, the scriptures in the right way, you'll see that how much of an impact that is on our brains and how we perceive knowledge. The fact that if we're given the wrong things, if we're given the wrong knowledge, if we're given false doctrine, we'll be led to hell. And that's what Christianity, that's what they do. They're going to lead a lot of people to hell because of the fact that they think that they know what they're talking about, but they really don't at all. They really don't. And it's setting up a lot of people for failure. And that's why, I want people to come back to the true vine, to this true vine, Yahweh Shah. Come back to Yahweh. Because if you don't, what I'm saying, come back to your roots, come back to the actual truth of the word, you'll be led astray. I'm gonna break up this verse real quick. Just Hosea 4:6. This is what's gonna happen to people, who reject this knowledge. It says right here in Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. That thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. So, for one, this is a testament to how Christians say, oh, the law is done away with, and we don't have to do the law, we're under grace now. And because Christ died for us, he was the only man that was on the earth that kept the law perfectly. We don't have to do it. No. It literally says right here, seeing thou hast forgotten the law, the commandments of thy God, I will also forget thy children. Everything stems from the law. If you don't keep this law, at the same time, you gotta have belief and everything. You still have to repent for your sins, all this stuff. It's a lot of things you have to do to come back to Christ, come back to Yahweh. But keeping this law is very essential. It's a very essential thing that God he implanted since day one. He gave commandments since day one. Since he created, ever since he created, mankind, he gave them laws. He gave them commandments. If you don't keep his laws, this what will happen. He will forget you. He will reject you. So a lot of people who say that, oh, the law is done away with, I can make a whole video on that as well, talking about the laws and stuff. But I'm gonna save that for another day. But everything revolves around the laws, though. Everything does around his chosen people too, because we got to realize who his laws were given to. Once again, like I said, I'm gonna save all this. I can go, into it, but I'm gonna just save it for right now. But hopefully, in this video, y'all learn something, in terms of what you call it. Y'all learn something in terms of trees and how they connect to people, or how they are people in the Bible. Now, at the same time, all trees in the Bible are not being referred to as people. I'm gonna say that. I'm just saying in most cases in the Bible, in most cases, trees are people. In those verses I brought up, it references trees, as to being people. You know what I'm saying? So we need to keep all those things in mind, and at the same time, just truly understand the word and have people really, tailor the word in the right way, and not, try to lead you astray and everything. Then, hey, you'll be straight. You'll be straight. And just keep watching my videos, and not just my videos, read the word for yourself. There's other people, what I'm saying, that can give you the word in the right way. The Christians won't do it for you. I'm telling y'all right now, Christians will not do it for you. They will not. They're going to continue to lead you astray, continue to lead you down that wrong path. That's going to cause you to basically be a part of Hosea 4:6. When they say my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, that's what's going to happen to y'all. Y'all going to be destroyed. Y'all going to be rejected. So come into the truth, man. Y'all, I'm just I'm only suggesting to y'all. I'm only the watchman. I'm the messenger. I'm only here to give y'all a message, and if y'all want to take it, y'all can take it. If y'all don't, y'all don't. Y'all decide what y'all want to do. You know what I'm saying? So hey, but I just want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua again. And, like I said, hopefully y'all learned something from this video. Hopefully some of y'all got edified. If you didn't, hey, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Like hopefully you'll be edified at some point, before Yahweh Shah returns. But I'm gonna continue to make some videos, and I'm gonna try to be a little bit more consistent in making my videos and just giving y'all, the actual truth of the word. But until then, what I'm saying, I'll see y'all in the next video.